Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well. From wherever you're watching this channel, I don't know how many of you were glued on the screen watching the interview where Rigathi Gachagua delivered some shocking news. Now, amongst the news that Rigathi Gachagua delivered there, I'd like us to focus on the part where Rigathi Gachagua talks about NIS.
The bigger united opposition. You know, I am aware that William RUTO and the National Intelligence Service are trying to create a third force. This is what happened in 1992.
That there is a strategy that William RUTO, the president, has deployed by infiltrating the various camps within the United Opposition Alliance, by positioning NIS in each of those party leaders to try to split them. You know, according to Rigathi Gachagua, he says that is a strategy that we used in 1992 to deny Kibaki an opportunity to win in 1992. Now, before we get further on this analysis, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to listen to this part where Rigathi Gachagua is delivering this shocking revelation.
Thing is happening. Many news agents have been planted, to us. Like myself, there was one who speaks my language, and then he will pretend, oh, Rigathi, you are one of our own, we are helping you with information from inside, and then he's trying to mislead me. And I refused. In fact, I hear he has been removed and sent to be a deputy ambassador somewhere because he has failed to influence me. I hear they have promoted somebody, Akamba, to try to manage Kalonzo. Another Kisi to try to manage Matiangi, another one to manage Natembea, so that they can try to convince us separately that you can make it on your own, so that you create a third force to divide the opposition. Then we can have a runoff, and then William RUTO, using state resources, can buy the ones who have lost and win in the reduction. So the good thing, like, they have been trying to create confusion by creating rumors that Kalonzo is going to State House at night, so that we can be suspicious of Kalonzo. But Kalonzo has been very forthright with us, and that's why we have stuck together. Anytime RUTO sends him emissaries, he calls us and tells us. So that has built confidence, and now we are convinced Kalonzo cannot be swayed by anybody. But we know they have attached an officer to try to use a lot of hard attacks to try to persuade Kalonzo to join William RUTO, but he has refused to budge. So the little teething problems you are seeing, they are RUTO characters all over the opposition. You have found most of them, instead of attacking William RUTO and challenging his programs, they are attacking Rigathi Gachagua. You are saying you are in the opposition. This united opposition wants to send William RUTO home. But you, because you work for RUTO, but you are within the opposition, you move from one TV show to another attacking Rigathi Gachagua.
Now, the strategy here is very simple. The person who deployed this NIS has a well-calculated strategy of convincing each of those presidential hopefuls, I'm talking about hopefuls, that they can each make a president. Let's say, for example, someone like Rigathi Gachagua, whom, of course, has declared that he was not going to buy that story. But then someone like Matiangi, according to Rigathi Gachagua, and by the way, I think based on the statement from Rigathi, he was addressing the issue of Matiangi, because Matiangi has been blamed of being a mall, a state project, and so all these blames have been put on Matiangi. So according to Rigathi, he was indirectly trying to tell us that Matiangi, there was an NIS person who was deployed to Matiangi's camp to convince Matiangi that he has numbers, that his numbers can propel him to the presidency. Then there's another one, according to Rigathi Gachagua, that was deployed to convince Kalonzo that Kalonzo can become a president. And in fact, according to Rigathi, he says that NIS was someone from a Kamba origin. Then there's another one who was deployed to Matiangi, him, Rigathi, Eugene Wamalwa, Natembea. All these were to make sure that they go separate ways, then they become weak. And the strategy is very simple, ladies and gentlemen, is to create a runoff situation. So do you think if NIS is successfully deployed on these people, and then NIS convinces these people to each run individually, if that is to happen, do you think there will be a runoff situation? Now, let's look at the situation with Moi. Now, Moi deployed almost a similar tactic. And because Ruto is a student of Moi, Ruto could have thought of using the Moi book in this strategy to try to divide the opposition. Because, of course, if you look at what is happening right now, you know, the statements from Degwanjiro claiming that Matiang'i is a project, is a state project. You see that tag, it's not going to be easy for Matiang'i to get off that tag because it has already been used in the Mount Kenya. But if you look at it very well, maybe it's a calculated strategy of trying to deny Matiang'i the Kikuyu votes, the Mount Kenya votes. Because the moment you label Matiang'i a state project or a mall, then and then at the same time you know very well that the people in the Mount Kenya trust or believe in anything that Rigathi Gachagua says. Because of course that statement only is enough to deny Matiang'i votes in the Mount Kenya. But again, if you look at this Matiang'i story from the other perspective, realize that the issue here is not even Matiang'i. The issue is Rigathi and Uhuru, the supremacy war in the mountain. Because remember when Ruto and Rigathi took over the government in 2022, Rigathi wanted an official pronouncement that he is the kingpin. But because that was not coming forth, Rigathi had to devise a way of making himself the de facto kingpin by force. And he has been successful in his quest to align himself with the people in the mountain. So when Uhuru thinks of introducing Matiang'i as a formidable force, you know, then the first thing that Rigathi sees there is a threat, immediate threat to the Mount Kenya votes. So for him to survive, there had to be a way of him convincing the people that Matiang'i is indeed a project. So let's get back to this strategy by William Ruto. So if Ruto wants to create a hype here so that he can force a runoff, honestly speaking, if these people go separate ways, there is going to be a runoff situation. So the strategy is create a runoff so that when there is a runoff, these other people can be bought and convinced that, look, if you come join my camp, I'll give you A, I'll give you B. Someone can even be promised a prime cabinet position. That can also happen. So these are some of the strategies of William Ruto. And by the way, if the opposition leaders are not careful, then Ruto is going to succeed. So I think this is some kind of caution being thrown to them about the NIS aspect. They'd be very careful, you know, because right now, if you look at the opposition, Wanaka very confused. I'm not trying to be against the opposition because we want a good government, by the way, in place. Whichever government is going to come, it's better be a good government that people can rely on. But the opposition right now appears very confused. When was the last time you heard about Omtata? Because Omtata also wanted to become a president. He has launched his campaign previously. When was the last time you heard about Omtata? The latest revelation here is that Maraga and Matiang'i are most likely going to work together. But the problem is that they come from the same area, that is Kisii. So it's not going to work. Two Kisiis coming together, that is a bit tribal, you know, that they want to produce a presidency because they've come together is going to be tribal. So I think Rigathi has a point here, and the other leaders, if they're not careful, wataumia. So just go below the comment section and tell us what to think about this latest explosive from Rigathi. Perhaps if you're watching this video and you've not subscribed, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Until you catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.